A popular staple of America, primary gathering places for the Jewish community, and some in New York City are really a bucket list item for foodies. We have a really cool author spotlight with us today. Professor Ted Merwin of Dickinson College is here. His book, Pastrami on Rye, an Overstuffed History of the Jewish Deli, is the first full-length history of the New York Jewish Deli. How can this be? How can this be the first book? It's such a fun topic.
Oh, thank you. And it is a fun topic, and it was a lot of fun to write. But it just is something that people hadn't really looked at before.
Well,
and,
you did.
And I did. I'm interested in food. My whole family's actually interested in food. My daughter's actually going tonight trick-or-treating as a vending machine.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so food is definitely in the family.
Yes.
Let's talk, we talk about going to the deli, but talk to me about the word delicatessen. Where does that word come from?
The word delicatessen actually comes originally from the Latin word delicatus, which meant anything or anybody who was exciting, who was alluring, who was enticing. And it only gradually became associated with gourmet foods in Europe and then eventually in the United States as well.
That's so interesting. Now we associate it with going in and grabbing a sandwich.
Right, exactly.
That's a little bit
different. Kind of a turnaround.
So this, though, delicatessens were really a primary part of Jewish life.
That's right.
Why? How? Explain that.
Well,
to
I think
me.
a lot of the reason was that Jews became less religious as they became more Americanized. And so the delicatessen really replaced or was on a par with the synagogue as the primary gathering space for the Jewish community, particularly in New York.
It's just a sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it started out as a takeout store and then sort of morphed into a restaurant and to a catering establishment. But the delis in New York obviously became very famous as, particularly the ones around the Times Square area, as the hangouts for the celebrities and places where Jews could really experience that kind of glitz and glamour of the showbiz culture.
It seems like throughout time, things gain popularity and kind of dip off, maybe gain some popularity again.
Right.
So there was sort of a decline.
Right. There was.
And we don't see as many now. Where did that decline come from?
It really happened after World War II. It happened after Jews moved to the suburbs and embraced the whole health and fitness movement that was kicking off in the United States, and also discovered other ethnic cuisines, particularly, as I write in the book, Chinese food. Which became very, very popular among New York Jews and Jews in other parts of the country as well. And so delicatessen food, by contrast, started to seem very low class and immigrant and really not befitting the kind of more sophisticated cosmopolitan image that Jews wanted to have as they became more upwardly mobile and became more part of the mainstream of American culture.
This is just a really cool topic.
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun talking to you about this. So
Thank
you
you.
compiled this all into a book. This must have been a real labor of love, taking a long time.
It took about 12 years, actually. It was a lot of research.
12 years.
And it was a lot of collecting of memorabilia that's connected to the delicatessen in different cities throughout the country.
Well, talk to me more about the memorabilia, because we have some video of some of your memorabilia. I have some cool stuff here today. You were telling me, watch my fingers.
Yeah, so this was everything. I collected hundreds of items, all on eBay.
On eBay.
All on eBay.
What a great site.
And so this is an actual original deli slicer from a deli in New York, and to your left is a scale that was actually used in a deli on Long Island. And then in the back we have some, I collected a lot of the actual neon signs that hung in the windows of delis, and the light up clocks, and the menus and matchbooks and ashtrays and postcards. And pretty much everything I could get my hands on that somehow conjured up that era, which is, as you said, vanishing.
Yeah.
And somehow this is what brings it back, I think, for me and for a lot of people, is to have an actual piece of history that belonged to a Jewish deli.
It must be so neat to show it off time and time again.
It is,
Now, I mean, we know there are sandwich shops these days, but any Jewish delis here locally?
Not really. There's Mr. Deli on Linglestown Road, but there's really not a lot. I mean, I have to go to Baltimore to really find an old style type of Jewish deli. So Atman's, for example, in Baltimore is a place where I like to go. Baltimore was very well known for its delis in its time.
But not so much anymore.
Not so much anymore.
It's more special experience.
No. And Philadelphia, actually, there are a couple, but not so many even in Philly, actually.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
But at least you've preserved it for us, so we can keep the
and not so many in New
traditional
York either, as you said. I mean, there were 1,550 kosher delis in New York in the 1930s, and now there are about 15.
Very good. Great talking to you today. That's it for our show. Make it a good day, PA.